Edible Spirit Hour.
Greetings, and salutations, sweet, delicious spirits. And welcome to the Edible Spirit Hour. This is your weekly dose of divine deliciousness, and this is, in fact, our season finale. We've come through another roster of incredible guests, and we're going to take a minute to just recalibrate the practice, do a little bit of writing, catch up on some projects, and transition. We've been really thrilled to keep providing this this show and this space to connect with you guys every week. So super grateful and have every intention of returning, but we're just going to take a little pause to work on some stuff. Okay. As you know, if you've been watching this show, this is a show that's dedicated to healers and healing, the delicious as much as the divine. We don't love to get into shamey, judgy intensity on this show. We are a live and let live kind of crew. Hostex Michael Dimitrovich, the Edible Spirit Collective, all of the energies and entities that are with me and also with you if you're watching. We come together to seek balance and healing in public with each other as a collective. That's what we're doing here. We also love to feature healers and their healing practices, and accordingly, we have an incredible guest tonight that we're so excited to have on. Melinda Holm is with us, and we'll have them with us in just a moment. We'll bring them on. We always start with the F Me update, but we are going to just take a little moment right now. We always light candles and incense and stuff and do our preparation, but we're just lighting a candle in recognition of the lives lost during the heinous murders, hate crimes in Atlanta. Just more grief on top of grief. And we always believe that grief is like a tank that just keeps filling itself up. And once you've sort of drained it dry and cried it out, something else happens, you know. This is hard. This is really just a complicated week of hope and fear, you know, things changing and everything seeming to be the same. We have hope, right? And we are working on behalf of the light to correct all of the imbalances and perceived separations that make one enact their will upon another against their will. When we had Tiana Garugian on a few weeks ago, I had some beautiful conversations about, I'm sorry, it wasn't Tiana, it was Kamara last week, was talking about relating versus enacting, and connecting to each other via relationships on equal footing, or on common footing at least, as opposed to someone with power doing something to someone without power, or disidentifying from this idea that we're a force enacting ourselves on things outside of ourselves, as opposed to like self-relating to self-relating to self-relating to self-relating to self. Please, if you're tired and hurt, rest. If you are Asian or Asian American, AAPI community, we have so much gratitude for you and for Asian culture. Just personally, I'm literally marinating char siu pork in the fridge downstairs. I've been making fucking curries, and you'll see on the FB update in a minute a delicious Korean stew that I can't wait to share with you. There's no end to the amount of inspiration we receive from Asian communities and cuisine specifically, but also art and just spirituality, like, hello, it's everything, right? So with that said, just so you guys know, we do offer a certain amount of free and discounted sessions, ongoing readings as reparations for generations of American violence and racism and oppression against not white people, against everybody but fucking white people. So if you are Black, Indigenous, person of color, Asian American, or Asian, Pacific Islander, you get a free session with Edible Spirit. So reach out. We're here for you. We want to heal together. And also tell your friends, come here, be with us. You know, you're here with us. We're going on break, so we're not going to be here next week, but we're here tonight to do some fucking healing. Okay. Listen, I want to share with you what we always start with, which is the F Me Update, which is a combination of culinary and astrological current events. What are the things that are going on? We got our COVID vaccine on Monday, our second shot with our delicious array of comorbidities, which allowed us to get a vaccine. We've gotten our second vaccine. We also posted a phenomenal article from Miss Erin Bunch that's all about the intersection between wellness influencers and COVID denial. Fascinating. It's in Well and Good, which doesn't always have the most intense journalistic stuff in it, but Erin Bunch brings it for real. So I strongly suggest that you check out that article because it was very illuminating about all the things that can make one ignore science and data. Fascinating. And P.S., we have a practice that's built on experiential verification, right? We always make a business of not proving anything to you, not trying to get anybody to believe anything, because we believe that the most important truths are the ones that can't be explained or that don't need to be explained. And yet, this does not eliminate the reality of data, of observed factual phenomena. So go check that out. By way of the F Me Update, astrologically, the big news is super, super duper Pisces energy flipping into Aries energy. And so that's what we were saying to you, is we normally have lots and lots of delicious recipes and flavors to share with you during this week, or during the show, but between the Pisces energy and our COVID shot on Monday, didn't have too strong of a reaction, but also like didn't let myself heal. So it felt like it took longer to feel great than it could have. But that's a personal issue. I don't believe that's a vaccine issue. So it's been a woozy doozy week. And I don't know if you've experienced this, but one of the things that we felt the strongest was the shift from Pisces energy into Aries energy, which occurred, big astrological moment, during the spring equinox, which was yesterday at 5:38 a.m. Eastern time, right? Middle of the night on the West Coast. The end of Pisces, the end of one cycle, which we talked about last week, the yearly cycle, into the astrological new year, but also this energy of descending to the bottoms of the depths of the ocean in Pisces, and from that darkest, wettest, stankiest, dankiest place, a little poot of fire popping out, cardinal fire, initiatory fire popping off. That's that springtime energy, bunnies humping, birdies tweeting, all sorts of stuff going on. And it's a new expression. It's the first expression in it's the yod, right? It's the little spark of life that has popped off already. That's what we geek out about in terms of the equinox, is like winter, 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 spring! And then we go, and we brought our Easter best for you today. We tried to wear some springtimey plaids for your enjoyment. But what we really felt is this idea of when the sun moves into a new sign, or when something changes signs, is when you tend to feel the effects of the last sign, or when you can really process it. Like, because it's like a fish doesn't realize they're in water until they're no longer in water anymore. Pisces didn't realize how swimming it was until pooh, we end up in this sort of fiery place. So it was a gnarly week last week, between healing, between the horrible murders that came in and hurt, that then didn't stop hurting, but like we pushed the hurt away and tried to numb it, and we're not feeling great from the vaccine, right? But then when you let that hurt in, it opens up, and you remember, like, what the fuck else are you gonna do but fight to end Asian hate and honor just global culture, right? Everybody. But especially right now, Asian people and all of the beautiful gifts and frequencies that have come into the world through that deliciously massive, gorgeous continent, right? But see, it hurts. It hurts because it's not right. So yeah. But if you ride this wave of Pisces into Aries, there's even a little moment of, okay, there's a new cycle now, whether we can detect it or not. The sky says there's a new cycle afoot. Things are ready to begin, right? No matter who's fighting against them, beginning. Things are beginning again. That's what's up. I just want to make sure I'm not forgetting something else for you. Oh yeah. So yeah, Sun entering Aries is just fire, excitement. And we're going up to a full moon in Libra on the 28th. And Venus is in Aries now, which has an interesting sort of like charge at things, but also like aggressive self-care and nurturance, but also like sprucing up, kind of spring cleaning vibes, Venus and Aries. Aggressively sprucing up, making everything snatched and lovely and nice. So yeah, those are the influences. But I want to show you, just by way of the F Me update culinary side of things. Let's see, will I be able to? Yeah, I wanted to show you this little video of these things bubbling. Let's see if we can get the right one. 866. Okay, great. I'm going to share this with you because it's super cute. This, and then we'll bring Melinda in. So bear with us one more second. We've got this delightful sharing sound. Great. So this is Korean cabbage. Let's get you some audio where it's bubbling. I mean, the silken tofu, little, I think those are shimeji mushrooms or beach mushrooms or something like that. Final product though, I'll just show you this little pic and then we'll bring Melinda in. This was great. So this is the final product of the stew: white rice, black sesame seeds, chopped scallions, and then in that bowl, it was literally like some old breakfast sausage and leftover pork chop that I showed you guys on the show last week, diced up, cooked with a bunch of onions and scallions, ton of garlic and ginger. And then we didn't have kimchi, but we did have half a head of cabbage. So we sauteed the cabbage with garlic and ginger and chili powder, chili paste, some gochujang, and then added a butt ton of apple cider vinegar. And it was great. It was so yummy because it had, there was a little bit of fish sauce or fish paste or something in the gochujang. So it had this, it tasted like kimchi. It tasted like a kimchi cabbage stew. But the secret to it was the extra cider vinegar and not too much pork. The pork was really just there to flavor things. I think there was a little miso in it as well, but very forgiving, this stew. And then once the stew was done, that was when we added in the little chunks of silken tofu, because they just sort of bubbled and quivered and felt fucking great. We love you. We're here for you, okay? The connection between us is stronger than anything that's trying to tear us apart. And if you beg to differ, DM us over here at Edible Spirit. We'll give you a talking to. With all that said, without further ado, we're going to bring in our guest for the evening. I mean, it's funny. Like, Melinda's awesome, but she's also like, just so snatched. So just can't wait to share her magic with you. We're welcoming her in. Let's bring in Melinda. Hello.
Oh my gosh, I still have that. Oh, there we go.
That's fine. It happens. Hi, buddy. I love your t-shirt.
Thank you. Thank you. I stole it from my husband. He got it at their show when he was a little baby child.
Wow, how perfect. I was funny. I tripped up in introducing you because like you're not like, you know, dripping in eleganza, but I always want to say you're elegant. Like you're usually in a fucking hoodie or a t-shirt or like something.
Yeah, totally. It's like tomboy eleganza.
Tomboy eleganza. That's where I was going with it. But you know, I'm suspicious of all binary monikers these days. So I didn't want to be like, you're like a glamorous tomboy, because why can't a fucking tomboy be glamorous, you know?
Right.
Well, welcome to the Edible Spirit Hour. You honor us with your presence.
Oh my God. I'm so, so excited. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. We love to start the show with a little bit called How Are You Healing? Where we inquire into your personal practices, but also the services that you offer others. How are you healing others? How are you healing yourself? So we know you identify as a tarot priestess, or I shall call you a tarot priestess. I tried to bring some, I wanted to bring High Priestess Blue, but I decided on the breastplate.
Yes. Well, you've got the High Priestess Blue on the nails, so it all comes together.
So, what I would love to know, first of all, okay, no, my spirits are talking. So, no, let's talk about it first. How are you healing? What have you been doing to take care of yourself? How are you nurturing yourself during this time? Are you like, what's up? How you doing? How you feeling?
I am great. I am terrible. I'm all of the things, right? I mean, I think, and throughout the entire past year, that's been the theme. Like, I'm great, and things are hard, and there's horror in the world, and that there's not, I mean, it's just like, I mean, talk about rejecting a binary, right? It's like, yeah, there's gender binary is not a thing, and also like a good bad binary, I feel like has been really challenged. And so I've just been going through. And
what do you do to support your, like, what are some of your own practices that you use? Like, what do you do to ground? What do you do to unplug? Like, what's your vibe?
I love to read physical books.
Same.
Right. And so, and to be outside, and like, I'm in LA, and so I can be outside all winter, and that's great. But especially now, the books that I'm choosing to read are, well, what I consider classics. So I just got finished rereading the White Album, Joan Didion, the White Album.
Wow, cool.
And yeah, and now I'm in Baldwin, Notes from a Native Son. And it's like, reading these people who remind us that radicalism and like intellectualism and this expression of difficult times, right, of unprecedented times. It's not unprecedented. It's totally precedented. Right. And these books in particular really like keep me grounded as a human, and remind me that I'm not going through anything that someone else hasn't gone through.
Right. It reminds me of Kamara, who was on the show last week, talked about how you can try to sort of keep, she has a project called Country Soul Songbook, where you can try to sort of keep artists, the memory of artists alive. But if you just sing their songs, you don't have to do that, because you're singing their songs.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
I love that. Totally.
It makes them alive again.
Yeah.
So just another question too, though, in terms of okay, I'm not going to connect that dot. With your tarot practice, have you been doing, I saw your amazing spring reading for the collective.
Yeah.
It was great. And you offer, and you do readings with individuals, obviously. Have you noticed any trends, or without disclosing anything about a session, have you noticed trends, or have you noticed things that people are going through, or anything in the air?
Yeah, and basically you can track those trends through the collective readings that I record. I mean, it is wild, and then I've also I have like the text community, so you can sign up to get a card of the day texted to your phone. That tracks as well. Mm-hmm. And it's just been really an accelerating sort of atmosphere of change. Transformation, isolation, and coming out, and like these big bursts outward. And it's almost like I keep describing it sort of within myself and verbally as it feels like rolling uphill. Like tumbling, like you're tumbling down the hill, but it's in reverse. You're actually going up, and you're going to be, it's all, we're elevating, we're evolving, we're, and if you're willing to let go of the stakes on the side of the hill and be swept up, then you can be, be with that be with that energy.
To go with what's happening as opposed to what we're being told is happening or what we think is happening or what we thought is happening. I felt like the end of Pisces season was so much that for me to really even see the things that had died that weren't happening anymore that I was kind of holding on to. Either, you know, but the other thing I was going to say to you, what I love this image of rolling uphill is because if there weren't some inertia, I'm having this whole tantric thing happening through my body right now, which I think is your magic coming into this space. It's very, it's very this. Mm-hmm. It's not, anyhow. If there were no inertia, then an object that moved would just move forever, right?
Right.
So this is uphill inertia that feels Sisyphean, but it's actually just part of, like we were saying, there's no binary here. If you think you're free and clear, then just wait till Tuesday. Something's gonna fucking drop on your head, you know?
Exactly. And if you think you have it figured out, like, you know, who's good, who's bad, what's good, what's bad, like, it's just it's so much more subtle. And I guess I think specifically, like, humans are so much more complex than we give them credit for. And the world is so much simpler than we give it credit for, right?
Absolutely. Wow, that's beautifully put. Yeah. And so how do we right, like, honor the complexity within each other without complicating the simplicity of what's going on?
Right.
We said that ages ago of, like, it's really fucking trippy. Like, we might even be able to have a kind of planetary ascended consciousness if we could all just agree to put the other person first and take care of the earth and then worry about our own basic needs.
Yeah, exactly. And allow yourself to just exist as a human. Yeah. You know, we're complex and we're messy, and it's okay. Yeah. You know, and especially a lot of people for whom some of the ugliness in the world is a new or a newer revelation, right? That's messy. It's not going to be perfect as you step into this awareness, and that's okay, you know?
Someone shared a beautiful thing about non-attachment with me, where the end of it was actually, you know, you've done a process of detachment and non-attaching because you come to rest in uncertainty. You don't come to rest in knowing what's going to happen. You come to rest in not knowing, right? So let's tie this to the tarot. Well, one thing I want to ask is about your amazing deck, the Elemental Tarot, the Elemental Power Tarot, right? The Elemental Power Tarot. It feels so good. It's just so delicious.
Little double meaning there.
But what I wanted to know is, do you read it with reversals or do you read it upright?
I read it upright.
I figured. Okay.
I don't, and I'll tell you. Yeah. Like what I mean. Okay. The bottom line reason why is because that's how I feel like doing it, right? Like, I've never been, a very long time ago, I had to learn to just trust myself and trust that it's not just myself, it's my guides, it's, you know, the universe and everything kind of working through when I do this. And if I go to put a card down and it's reversed and I automatically turn it over, do it. It's okay, right? And then I realized that because the way that I read is so relational, right? So if I've got like these two cards in proximity to each other, well, if they're horizontally in proximity, that tells me something about how each of those energies are working. If it's vertical, that's a different thing. And so they're really informing each other. I don't need the internal twist.
Right. You don't need that extra thing to read. That was how I was. So I was kind of, this was a little bit of a leading question, because everything that you're saying about it's not good or bad, I always had an issue with it, where it's like, so the reversal means it's the frequency is there, but twerked, right? Or like, it's present, but off, or present, but because it's not just the opposite, it's present, but it's, you know, it's right. So to me, that was like, well, then isn't that just the fucking card? Like,
right. Exactly. And that's how, and it's not even the proximity, it's the person too, right? I mean, it's like everybody, oh, the Two of Cups, that's a good card. The meeting of two hearts, like, well, if you are cripplingly shy, if you are traumatized, that's a terrifying card. And I don't need it to be reversed to tell me that. I
Right.
can tell by having you in front of me. I can tell by the rest of the cards what the situation is.
So tell me about this, because you said you do connect with your guides, and so tell me a little bit about how you started reading, and was it tarot first, or when did you become aware of guides, or what's the relationship between tarot and guides for you? How does it feel?
Tarot came long before, and now looking back, I'm like, oh, that's so cute that you didn't realize that there were guides around, right? But I mean, like I had a lot of chaos and grew up in abuse and neglect and, all of the fun things. And so I spent a lot of time alone, and I was just wandering through the mall bookstore, wandered into the metaphysical section, was like really taken in, and, got a deck and a book, and it just became like my haven, like my personal little solace to
And
have.
what was the first deck? Was it first deck? What was your first deck?
Crowley.
Yeah, man.
Going in the deep end.
Well done. I love the astrological glyphs and all the little addendums. We'll talk about this a little more later.
Yes.
So Crowley was first, and then what happened?
And then I just kept reading. I mean, and again, it was private. It was my private thing. I mean, this was like the very early 90s. It wasn't cool. I didn't feel cool anyway. Like it wasn't something that I brought about. And then, decades go by, I moved to Los Angeles, and it was just, and that's really where like the guides start screaming, right? And like pulling things out, like, oh, you think you have a day job? No. Pulling it right out from under, like, no. I met Mark and Martin at Spellbound Sky, like immediately when I moved here. And then, that was my transition out of, my last little toehold in a straight world life, and then into full-time mystical life. And then I just started being very aware of information. Right? Like information coming in from other places. And as I started to, even working retail in the shop and working with people and, helping them with sometimes some really difficult things, and to find crystals and, rituals and candles, was like, just get out of your own way. Don't second guess yourself. It's not you anyway. Just say it. Just let those words come out.
And so it's funny, because I wanted to ask you this before. What do you think, how would you describe the best way or reason to use the tarot, or to get a reading? Like, why do it? I have my own thoughts, but what do you think?
I think that the sort of kernel, the center of why everyone I read for gets a reading, the center of why I read for myself when I do, is clarity, right? No one comes and gets a reading because they know exactly what's going on. There's like something is fuzzy, something is unclear. And sometimes it's, that clarity is a specific direction. Sometimes that clarity is permission to be unclear. Right. Sometimes that comes through in readings where it's just like, oh, you don't know what to do because this isn't the time to do anything. You just have to wait.
Perfect.
Sometimes it's a focus, particularly, when doing a reading for yourself or pulling a card of the day. It's just, what do you, in the vast field.
Inspiration,
yeah. What can you narrow in on?
Beautiful. That one of the, it's identification is important these days, right? And like we've never really identified as a psychic because of the hierarchies that creates and you know the power structures it creates, because that's not true. Everybody's fucking psychic. But we also never really liked identifying as a reader, because I identify as a healer first, and then I use my reading techniques to work on healing. So for me, the intention is always balance. But I love what you're saying, because I'm a super emotional Scorpio person. So for me, everything is passed through feeling and sensation and sensuality. So balance is very tangible to me. But I love the idea of clarity, because if someone is turbulent, emotionally disturbed or imbalanced or not, I mean, you know, not necessarily chemically speaking, but I'm saying, like, if something sad has happened, or if you're grieving, or if you're, you know, if you've just been through a breakup, it's like to have all the things that you thinking or feeling, then, like you said, get brought into that point of clarity, can just clarify the waters and bring about that balance that I'm talking about.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes, exactly. And it's so interesting you say that too, because I know that you will not agree with me at all, but like, I don't identify as a healer.
Obsessed.
Which is really, and it's something that you know, I mean, I'm a Cancer, so everything as well, emotion, and it came through just like, nope, that doesn't quite, it just like didn't quite sit right in my body. And I think that it's because of my experience in my childhood and growing up, I have spent so much time thinking of myself and being told by others that I am broken or damaged, or, you know, like a survivor of something. And at a certain point in my life, I was like, well, when does that stop for me?
Yeah.
When do I just get to be where I am and then build from there? And so it's like, it's funny because it's a very, very personal definition that applies to my life, but then it's who I am. And so it comes out. So I'm like, nope, I'm a guide. I am a translator. I am, you know, whatever else.
And when I first started reading, I started reading with the Blake deck, was the first deck that I ever used. It was really wild, and it worked for me because it wasn't traditional associations. It wasn't cups, you know, swords. It was painting, poetry, science, and music. Right, very beautiful. And I would say to people, I'm just going to tell you a story. I read the language. I'm a translator, like you're saying, and it was very narrative for me because I had a background in writing, but. I had a job working for California Psychics for a couple of years and was reading so many cards that I started to fry my brain. And that was when I went and started seeking these other things and seeking other ways to read with people and to read for people. But at the end of the day, I think the real connection is, like, I was a playwright before I started doing this work. And so I'm a total word nerd. And I was always looking for what's the right word to describe this, what's the right word to describe this. And it was a very personal decision to be like, it's healing. But every session I start is about, we are not fixing something, nothing is broken, we are not doing anything like this, because also nobody wants to be helped. Nobody wants to be fucking fixed. It's insulting, and it's a violation of free will. You know?
Right, exactly.
It's not my karma, it's your karma.
Yep. Oh yeah. And that's, you know, similarly in readings, I am very careful to say, like, I'm not telling you what is the truth. I'm telling you what I see as laid out in these cards from my human experience, with help from my guides, with help from your guides. Yep. And I don't know if you find this, but a lot of people I find are very, they don't like that. They really we're so well trained to just give our power over to somebody else. And they're just like, no, you take it. You take the power. You tell me.
Absolutely. When I was on the California Psychics line, I would spend a large portion reframing people's questions. I would be like, that's not the right question. You're asking something that completely takes away your agency in this situation, where you want to know about an event, but there's a million things that are happening now and that could happen between now and then. And And to me, that's also the line of healing, where it, like, when you are working with like a wicked old school clairvoyant that's just like, and then this, and then this, and then on the 18th, this is happening, and then this will go down, and then that's going to happen. Like, I have friends that work with those bitches all the time and are then like, well, none of the things she said really came true, but like, it's cool. Like, I like and it's like,
okay. Well.
But again, I think that that's a temptation, just as much as someone who's getting a reading might want to surrender their choice. Yes. What you were saying about humans feel more comfortable knowing things, and it's very easy for someone who's done some training to plug into the infinite power of the universe and be like, I know something, but like, those who know what they don't know, and that's what they know.
Yep. That's the nines, baby. That's the wisdom of the nines. Know what you know what you don't know.
Because we've reached a point. So I want to tell everybody watching that very soon, in just a few minutes, we will take your calls. We will take you if you have a question or you want a reading with Melinda or with us. Please join. You can join via Zoom. There are links to the Zoom room on Instagram at EdibleSpirit in the EdibleSpirit bio, as well as at ediblespirit.com/the-hour. If that's where you're watching it from, there's a little Zoom link right there. Don't be shy. Everybody who's come in has not only enjoyed their reading in the history of this show, but they've also sharing their vulnerability and whatever they're going through has every single episode landed with someone else who was watching it. So yes. Don't just be brave for yourself, be brave for someone else. You agree, Melinda?
I agree completely. I do a lot of free readings on live on Instagram, and it's always people like, I know it wasn't for me, but it resonated. I'm like, if it resonated, it's for you.
It's for you. It's for us. That's why we're here. Yep. So may I, in the meantime, give you a little reading, my dear?
Yes, please.
So we call upon the Edible Spirit Collective at this time. We call this moment snack time. And my nervous system is firing. So just give me one moment. So we call upon the Edible Spirit Collective to offer Melinda guidance, healing in this moment, asking the question, if Melinda were a snack, what snack would she be? Wow, it's very specific. It is a paper bag with freshly popped hot popcorn on the inside of this bag. And sprinkled on top is this multicolored crystalline like sugar topping. So we are rocking a sweet salty thing here.
Ooh, yes. Mm-hmm.
What's the message here? What's the guidance here? This is a portable snack. This is able to be brought with you. So interesting. I mean, this is implying obviously all Mikey's brains are going, what? But this is implying some kind of movement and travel in your not too distant future, interestingly enough. But let's see what else this is about. Okay, and here's what we're seeing. So you've got the crystals in your pocket. They taste to me like they have a like birthday cakey, sugary, like it's not necessarily natural. It's not necessarily a natural flavor. It's not necessarily of this plane. Mm-hmm. And it's like comical what these colors are. They look like those kind of like unicorn fart emoji GIFs, So it's very, and like the Spellbound Sky logo, like with all the unicorns and all those things. So it's like, but the message here is that you've got these crystals in your pocket. Where is Melinda in this? Yeah, so the snack itself is just popcorn, but it's hot, it's fresh. It does seem like there's a little bit of butter on it, so it's rich. And what this all means to me is that it's like a very traditional snack that's being brought with you. It's reminding me of when I was a kid and my grandmother would pop popcorn before we would go to the movies so that you didn't have to buy the popcorn at the movies. So it's interesting because it's like, it's humble, but it's also like very gourmet because it's homemade. It's like house-made popcorn that's brought with you. And it really does feel like this is about pacing. Like this is a read that's about pacing with you and for you, where, you know how when spirit's really, really flowing, it's almost like weird to sit down and eat lunch, that you just kind of have to like take what you need based on the minerals or the vitamins or the contents that you have. And what's interesting is this is saying that like, you're going to want to cultivate some self-sufficiency in terms of, as you're moving about, make sure you have the most like basic natural goodness available to you at all times. So I'm reading this as like, something's going to take you outside of your comfort zone before very long. And whether that's physical travel or more of like a Sagittarian, like I'm going beyond myself right now, there's this idea that you're really going to need to keep both this humble pie popcorn moment, but also knowing that just because it's like hidden in your purse doesn't mean it's ratchet. It actually means it's what makes it the most delicious and the most amazing. And then there's this other part of it, which is like, it almost feels like you're playing along by the rules until you decide, I am in a safe and sacred space enough now that I'm going to bust out the magic crystals that get put on this thing that really take it to the next level. So I almost feel the sense with you of like letting yourself ebb and flow, Miss Cancer, a little bit more, and letting yourself be up when you're up and down when you're down. And then knowing that there's this sweet spot in the middle that, especially as you're pushed beyond your comfort zone, you're going to kind of need to call in more magic, but not all the time, just when it's like safe to do so. Does this make sense, everything we're saying?
Yeah, I'm dying. I'm dying because so I mean, there are a lot of things, but I applied to grad school. I applied to go get my MFA in writing. Wow. And so it is pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. It's very traditional, yet putting like this, like I have to be fully myself, but kind of within tradition. There's some amount of travel involved. Yeah, because both the programs I applied to are not in LA. Yeah.
Gooped and gagged. Well, that's great. Because
I was like pick my job off the table while you're talking.
It's an honor. But so I love this vibe because you really want to just make sure that it's like you're not throwing anything out, but you're preserving things and letting other things lay dormant when it's time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So don't feel the need to bring your A game to this. It's literally like show up with your A game when it's appropriate. Let yourself be in your shell when it's appropriate. And then there's this little sweet spot that I'm sort of seeing as that median line where whenever you're called on to answer a question, whenever you got to do a class project, you bust out your sparkles. And you're like, oh, I'm not telling you I'm magic, but I'm fucking magic. All right, good. We're moving on. We have a buddy here. We have a buddy. Welcome into this room. Let us welcome in our friend Diva. Let us welcome in our friend. Hi, Diva. Let us welcome in. Your YouTube, Diva. Turn up your YouTube.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Hi, Diva.
No. Are we good?
Yeah, we're clear. We're good.
Okay, good. Hi. I just had to say hi. I've been watching you guys and smiling the entire time, and I love this so much. And you guys are so like the things that you've talked about. I'm really jealous. I feel I'm like I want to be part of all these conversations. I was like talking back to you guys. I don't even know what I was saying, but and I can't remember anything, but I love you. I'm so happy.
Oh, I love you. You are part of all these conversations. Always.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
It's true. I almost was talking to you when Melinda was like, I came to LA and was doing the readings and the guides were showing up and then the cards started talking differently. I was going to be like, remember when Diva was like, yeah, sometimes the cards just like talk to me, but then sometimes they scream.
Yes. And that reminds me, I was laughing. I'm like, of course, like so many things that you've said, Melinda, about, you know, how you started and that you know, did that the guides came later. And then as you're telling the story, you're like laughing because they're like laughing at you now. Like you were always being guided.
Totally.
I'm like, oh, I mean, I love that. You're so open and you're sharing all these things. Like anybody who sees this and is going on this journey of this world of this mystical, magical stuff, you know, it lets us realize that we're on the journey and that we've always been on the journey and that we've always had the support and that whole, I don't have the word, but you know what I mean.
Yes, thank you so much for saying that. I am blushing because it's very, very flattering. And I also think that it is so important, you know, that it's like this idea of like, oh, well, I'm an expert and I live on a misty mountaintop. It's like, no, you don't. Like, come on, be a human. Let other people be a human. Let's all like be messy and learn and grow and support each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I will say, as much as you don't think of yourself as a healer, you don't have to think of yourself as a healer, but I do know that you've definitely healed parts of me in my life. So you leave a mark that is a beautiful, yeah, you're great. I love it.
I am willing to accept. Don't smile that big, Mikey. It's not. I am willing to accept that actions that I take are healing for people. And that doesn't, and I think that I can accept that without like sometimes I run, but I'm not a runner. Right? Like
That's
sometimes
fair.
I heal, I do things, I say things, or, you know, I don't know.
But let me, you know, before I knew that,
You're hanging up on me now.
before I was comfortable identifying as a healer, I was a channel, and my effectiveness was based on not getting in the way. So I think the only difference we're talking about here really is that you just don't want to call yourself that. Let other people call you it. Whereas I went on a very particular journey to earn the title, to define it, and to tell everybody I work with, when I say healing, this is what I fucking mean, right? But I still try to take the same approach of hands off. I'm not the one. I'm not doing anything. This is all you. This is all about you. So to me, that also, P.S., is like a sign of an actual healer when they're like, it's not me. So I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything.
And look, I'm not like outside of giving myself a fancy title. I call myself a tarot priestess, and people are like, well, what, like, you know, how do you get the title? And I was like, I wrote it down. You know, like,
oh, I had no questions.
Responsibility that I took. Okay. Oh yeah. What is that?
I know I had no questions about that one.
You had no question. Yeah.
Get it. But this actually, well, let's see. Diva, do you want a reading today?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Well, I actually happen to have with me. Oh, is it the element? So,
my birthday. What's happening?
So you start, and then I know we have one more person who's gonna wait for a reading. So let's do a little reading for Diva, and then bring in our other caller. But you start, Melinda, and I'll pull and see what mine says.
I love this. I feel so honored right now.
You're getting tarot finger cuffed by Diva, by Melinda and Mike.
I'll take it. I'm into it.
Okay. And I'm not even asking you any questions because
nope.
I know you really well, and that's how you do. It's just like, what do they need to tell me? I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're gonna spread them out. Oh, hello. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh.
what I thought I was going to pull cards, and I did just pull a card, but I just got a hit too, and we'll see how it lines up with Melinda. I just saw all of these honeycombs. If Diva were a snack, she'd be a honeycomb, like a honeycomb with live bees in it, right? Delicious and edible and unctuous and so sweet and so alive and so like, I mean, to me, it just immediately means community. It makes me very emotional because I want to say to you, Diva, that the community that you feel that you're in touch with, you are in touch with.
Yep.
Thank you.
And let me just back you up here, because the cards that I drew for you, the Hierophant, flanked by the Emperor and the Seven of Swords. And there are some, I'm going to speak in code a little bit, but you'll know what I'm talking about. You are 1,000,000% in this lineage. You are standing in the lineage of the Hierophant. You are a student, you are a teacher, you are both. And not because of that, because of where you are in that and with your divine connection, you are ready to step into Emperor mode, make a plan, be a more seen leader, a more vocal leader, to corral people, projects, things into place. And Seven of Swords, this is about you really overcoming doubt, and like, let's in this little mode of it, let it be the last little bit of doubt that you have in your ability to clearly express and articulate what you've learned in this Hierophant mode. Okay?
You're sorry, you are totally part of that journey with me. And that's what I was talking about when I said that you are a healer. You are totally like 1,000% helping me own that and walk through that, my doubts, overcome all of that stuff.
That was a cheer from Melinda, which you didn't see because it was a silent cheer, but it was a cheer.
Oh yeah, I was cheering. Sorry, I have a gallery.
No, it's Zoom's fault. Zoom didn't change the camera angle. I just saw you doing it, and I wanted to know that you were excited. And the other thing I wanted to say that I got from that reading, Diva, is that I'm excited for Diva to be daddy.
Yeah.
It's like because the idea of you as the Hierophant, that's an easy one for me. I'm like, okay, cool. And Melinda, I love that card so much in the little roadside stupa of like, yeah, Buddha's there too, bitch. Like, it's casual. It's not a church. It's fine. It's right there. It's nature. It's cool. But the jump from the Hierophant to the Emperor, to be seen, to be wrangled, to express your will. Isn't the Emperor connected with Aries too?
Yes.
Right. So to express your will, to channel your force, to ride your BDE, right? To like flop your dick on the table and be like, I'm in charge right now. And guess what? I come from a place of total love, so you're safe. It's fine, right? Like, I'm ready for Daddy Diva. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Oh my God, please call me Daddy Diva from now on.
I'm never going to stop calling you Daddy Diva.
I mean, no, it's going to go viral. Daddy Diva. That's so wrong and great.
It's so good. It's an important moment. Guess what card I pulled for you from the Elemental Tarot? The Elemental Power Tarot. It's the world.
Yes.
So just put that little button on top, that little cherry on the sundae.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Well, gag. That was fun.
I love you guys. Thank you.
I love you.
Love you, Diva. We will send you out to the waiting room, and then thank you. Okay. Ooh. Wait, this is my bad. Hold on. Okay, here we go. There we go. Yay. Okay, so Melinda, my love, Paula, please meet Melinda. This is Paula, a dear friend of mine.
Hello.
How are you? Nice to meet you, Melinda.
Nice to meet you. Welcome.
So Paula, just because she's a beloved of mine, is in all sorts of interseason flux and growth and change and transformation. So unless you have a question, Paula, I just figured I would give her that little bit.
I don't have any question. I trust you guys. That's it.
Hey.
Whatever is coming, I take it.
Lovely. Oh my gosh, I love it. This is just me showing off my shuffling, by the way. There's
Yes, I have it. Yes.
And I'm going to give you a snack too, Paula, because I'm sitting here and it's interesting. There's something, it's very symbolic. There's, how many are there? There's 4 pieces of blue corn. I feel like this is a very coded message. To me, what it means is that there's some ancient wisdom and indigenous wisdom that you want to go hunting and tracking and seeking a little bit, and not just looking into the past, but looking into the ancient past. So maybe even past life work, you know, some kind of guidance or journey, or plant medicine of some sort. It could be, but the idea is that your spirits are offering you a very sacred gift of these 4 pieces of blue corn, and they're saying that's what you are. So there's simplicity, there's purity, there's magic because it's blue, like what the fuck, you know, amazing. And then there's also the idea that you're just getting this gift. You can do whatever you want with these pieces of corn. You know, you could eat them, you could pop them, you could plant them, you could do whatever. So just that's what it hit me. Both of these visions hit. So let's go, Melinda girl.
Always you're in point. Always, because you don't know how many documentaries I watching about like the Amazon and all that. I'm into that, you know, like simplicity in my life, in the way like I can live in the jungle. I feel like that way. Thank you, Mikey. I love you.
Thank you. I love you.
For my cacao beans, you know, like, and they are getting tomorrow. So
perfect. That's perfect. That's a plant. That's a medicine journey. Wonderful. All right, Melinda, run. Go.
I love you.
Balance, and more balance centered in the heart. So the center card, 8 of Cups, longevity, long-term stability, the sort of like finding the equilibrium that's like, it's similar to what Mikey was talking about earlier with me, where it's like, yeah, there might be these ups and downs, but there's this spot in the middle that stays, that keeps you centered. That's that 8 energy. And to get there, so that's like the long-term goal. And then we've got the 4 of Cups and Justice. So for now, just like getting your feet underneath you day by day with emotional stability. What makes you feel grounded in your heart? Get into it every day. And then with the Justice card, there's a little wink of like, well, yeah, but it's not just what makes you feel grounded. It's what actually lightens the heart. What actually brings it up into this, so it's as light as the feather. In Elemental Power Tarot, it's this image from the Egyptian Book of the Dead of the weighing of the feather in the heart.
Heart and freedom, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love this, Paula. You know what I love about it for you too, Paula, is the idea of what I heard you just say, Melinda, with the lightness, is you have so many tools at your disposal, and you've, studied and learned and provided so many things to so many people, that I'm just tickled by the symmetry that you described, Melinda, as well as the wateriness, all those cups, where it just says like, you got to be honest about your emotions, because I know you're a Virgo queen who can solve any problem. But if you're sad and you feel sad, admit that you're sad, because then you can do what you need to find that balance point. And if you feel great, admit it, but don't attach to it, because then you can do what you need to find that balance point. You know what I mean? It's like, I just want to make sure that's what I'm seeing in that Justice card too, Melinda, right? It's like,
yes, I love that.
Just stay on top of your balance, but just because I know you, that means to me, be honest if you're hurting, or be honest if you're sad, or be honest if you're freaked out. Tell someone, fucking call me, tell me, I don't care,
Wonder Woman is not all the time, yes, I know.
Exactly, because you are Wonder Woman to so many people, but the truth is, based on what Melinda's showing you, is like, you're going to be able to find that middle zone if you're honest about when you're high and when you're low. Is that fair to say, Melinda?
Yes, absolutely.
Totally.
Okay.
Yeah, especially with that Justice card.
especially for justice. Yeah.
Yes, thank you guys.
All right. Thank you, my love. Thank you.
Like for times, like these times, like, like we need to be more, like we need to find the unity in all this shit, like we need to stand up for all the people who suffering and give the smile every day and try to support them and stand up for them.
Yep.
It's amazing.
But part of that is,
I was so sad this week. I couldn't. Oh.
There you go. That's what I was looking for, because part of smiling for the people that are suffering is honoring your own pain and your own grief and working with it and dealing with it, because then when the smile comes out, it's real.
Yes, totally.
All right.
I love you guys. Thank you for all your light.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ciao.
So we won't be going too much longer, but I actually have a couple questions for you, just in terms of, I need to talk to you about the apothecary associations in the deck.
Yes.
And I need to know about when Divine Your Dinner comes out.
So, Divine Your Dinner comes out on August 31st, is what it's slated for currently. Yeah, and so it's a 78 recipe cookbook, one recipe for each card that I wrote with my friend Courtney McBroom, who's an amazing chef. And the major arcana recipes are built around the apothecary items from the major arcana in Elemental Power Tarot.
Wow.
So something that I noticed, when I'm doing spell work, when I'm doing ritual, I'm just running to the kitchen. Like I really am just a real like basic witch in that way, right? Like I don't need fancy things. You can do it with what you've got in your house. But we also eat that stuff, right? And so it's Courtney and I, we've been friends for a while, and we started to kind of play with recipes, and then it just snowballed into the Divine Your Dinner. Yeah, but yeah.
So wait, so when you were designing the deck, this is one of the things I think is extraordinary about the deck is there's no people in it, right? There's no people.
Yes.
So what was the motivation behind that?
There, to invite more people in. The motivation, in a word, was inclusivity, right? And the tarot is something that comes out of Catholic tradition, of Southern European tradition. The old decks, it's all white people, it's all gender binary, it's, and we use it in a different way today. And basically I just got tired of apologizing for different, different decks that I really like to use. So I wanted to have something that would really invite people into the way that I read, which isn't, oh, an empress is going to show up in your life. It's, you are the empress. Here is the energy you are invited to step into. And that has nothing to do with your gender identity.
No. How heavenly. And it's one of the things I love about it is like, just, as you saw, I spread everything out on the table, because that's one of the ways that I love to download a deck, is to take the whole thing in and then develop the relationship. But one of the things I loved about it, it makes perfect sense, because you still have king, queen, knight, and page, but just the crown on the background. So you can literally imagine it going on your head or going on someone else's head, but then there are lots of creatures in this deck.
Yeah.
Okay. And
lots of little creatures.
Were they chosen specifically for their medicine in the various cards? Like there's associations for each of the creatures?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And look, the Hierophant, which we just saw, there's a cat laying in the road. That is my cat. She is 20 years old, and she is a Hierophant. She's a spiritual teacher. She is an embodiment of divinity, and everybody who meets her recognizes that, right? So that came in. So some of them are very personal ways of putting that in. And then, and there are others like the lion with the strength card, right? It's just like,
I pulled it today and I was obsessed with it because it's a lion in this moment where you don't usually get to see lions, and I was like, oh my goodness, there's no bitch taming this lion.
Nope.
The lion is actually, it's the ferocity of the lion feeling its most kind of like divinely human tendencies, because it looks like the lion's playing.
Yeah, the lion, exactly. And the lion, and just like if we imagine ourselves as that lion, like it's okay. People feel your strength when you walk into a room. No one's confused if a lion is playing about whether the lion can kill you. The lion can kill you. Right? Like we know it. And it's the same for us. Like that presence, that force of strength really comes through whether you're performing it or not.
Do you have a favorite recipe in the Divine Your Dinner book, or do you have a favorite flavor from the major arcana?
I'm a Hierophant girl, and I love the Hierophant so much. I've got the little Hierophant staff tattooed on my finger. You know, it's like part of my symbol that's on everything. And frankincense is the apothecary item. And I also love I love eating things that are like scents or, you know, like botanical, and it's a tree sap, but it's in the book, it's a cocktail that has frankincense.
And that's ether too, right? That's very spirit.
Yes.
Wow, how delicious.
Yeah.
Well, we should probably wrap up.
I could talk to you for hours and hours, but we're not on a private call. We're actually doing.
That's true, but you know, we're sharing it with all the friends. The last thing we like to talk about on this show is a moment of yumminess, which is something on this earth plane that is at present making you feel divinely delicious, that's sort of lifting you up and out.
So is it something that other people have access to, or just?
It could be culinary, it could be your own, it could be private, it could be something everyone has.
You know what it is? It is the birds in my backyard.
Perfect.
I recently moved, and there are so many birds back there, and I just lay down and stare up at them and drink it in and just observe their perfect little bird world that has no idea. They have no idea what's going on down here. Oh, there's my.
You're cool.
We've got okay.
I'm listening
This
in
is
the
my
other room.
husband, Chris.
You're amazing.
Oh my God. You know, he was dying for the past hour, and he was just like, I'm going in. Yeah,
What?
this is the Fool. She's on the Fool.
That's your fool. Oh, that's your fool.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. I will just leave it in this space by telling you the thing that is truly making me feel divinely delicious this week is the Elemental Power Tarot.
Oh, thank you. Oh.
Getting like a Zoom deja vu. This is trippy. Of my beard disappearing as I'm whoa, whoa. Okay. Well, everybody who's watching right now or in the future is exactly where they're supposed to be, because this is our deja vu moment around the Elemental Power Tarot. And really, I just want to make it very clear, because it really did everything it's supposed to do. It got me in touch with these forces. That was the thing that I tripped out on about elements. I don't know if you know this, but for years, I was doing a weekly reading series called The Elements of Spirit that was 5 readings for each of the elemental signs. And they were channeled readings once a week. I was very bad at the internet and YouTube at that point, so I wasn't promoting it appropriately. So a lot of people didn't even know they were happening, but I did it for like 2.5 years. And it was the thing that I read in the instruction book that inspired me to do this series, which was, the theory is, if you understand the elements, you understand the terrestrial sphere. Yeah. If you fuck with the elements, you fuck with the secrets of this plane.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, as someone who loves food and works, the deliciousness into their divinity and their spiritual practice at all times, I did everything you said to do in the book. I welcomed her. I opened it up. I read through all the apothecary notes and the majors, but then I really that's why I wanted to spread them out, was to look at them and feel them and vibe with them. And to me, when we work with clients, we love to prescribe alignment practices, especially with, ascended teachers or with, different frequencies or colors or whatever. But it's cool because I was really excited to get this and really excited to have you on. And I took the time this week to align with it and to bring it into my sphere. And like, it's just really exciting because in this weird way, I feel this is what I'm recommending for anybody who might want to get this deck to get it. I feel more prepared for everything in a way because I'm also, like you said, I'm not going in here being like, who am I? Or where is this from? Or is this the 1400s? Like, what's going on? And yet it also doesn't feel like a cheesy kind of contemporary update of something. You know, it just feels so considered. And like, I feel like I've opened up a relationship that I get to build now. So
that makes me so deeply happy. I can't even tell you. I feel like you've just used so many phrases that I use to like pitch the concept. It's like, it's incredible. And I love too, when you posted the picture of everything out, you know, where you can see it's a pip deck, yet you can also read it intuitively because the arrangements of the symbols and the illustration of the backgrounds are so different and have such an impact. Yeah,
and a consistency. It triggers all sorts of different things. And that's what I mean. Like, I'm really excited to just get to know it some more and see where it takes me. So it really, I love the idea of the birds too, though, because to me, you know, the earth plane gets smack thrown at it because it's, you know, because of Catholics and Christians and whatever, you know, it's soiled or it's not godly or it's not divine or whatever. Don't feel that. I don't feel that at all. But the idea is that when I learned this from the Crowley deck too, if you focus on the shit for long enough, its divinity reveals itself to you.
yeah.
So I really love the idea of listening to the birds as being a focal point on the earth that doesn't necessarily lift you up and out, but that because you're focused and present and centered on the earth, connecting with this bird tribe, all of a sudden you expand beyond yourself. And in a way, like, that's what I mean. I haven't done a ton of readings. I did like 2 readings for people with this week, but I feel like my practice of engaging with it has opened me up and out in just the way that we aim to with this segment.
Yay! Oh.
Wow.
Oh, gosh, what a fantastic way to spend a Sunday. Thank you so much.
My honor and pleasure. And thank you so much for being here. Tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on melindaleeholm.com, elementalpowertarot.com, on Instagram @MelindaLeeHolm.
Fan-freaking-tastic. And just so you guys know, like we said at the beginning of the show, we are taking a little break to do some writing for the next month and change. We'll see. We'll stay in touch because we are still, we will be offering readings. You can find us on Instagram at EdibleSpirit or at EdibleSpirit.com to get bookings for private sessions, as well as group sessions, as well as reparations readings. If you are hurting and need it, come find us. We're here for you. And then we'll see what transpires over the next, next couple months and where we're going to go from there. But we'll be back with the Edible Spirit Hour before terribly long because it's just too much fun. And we enjoy connecting with you guys so much. But find us if you need us. We are here for you. Thank you, Melinda.
Thank you, Mikey. Have a wonderful evening.
Good night, everyone. Fare thee well. We will see you next time.
The Edible Spirit.